cool shit.
Nice.
Do you know what's also cool? Watching a dude absolutely make a statement about how fucking good he is on a Saturday night.
Oh, yeah.
We got that a few times. I'm tying us back in case we use this as a cold open.
Man,
in case we don't.
Really good.
In case we don't. Hello, and welcome back to the MMA Split podcast. I am, of course, your host, Matt, joined by host and producer Josh. I say joined, but as always is with here. It's not like you're a guest or something.
That's my home.
These are your cameras and microphones.
And I still haven't tidied up from the party on Saturday, so...
Was a good party.
Yeah, if you see fruit flies in shot, I added those in very cleverly to just make it seem dirty, but it's really actually quite clean.
It's a party for a good reason, though. It was your birthday.
Yeah, well, whole week was my birthday, really. It got a bit out of hand. I still haven't spoken to my neighbours. I owe some apologies.
I think it's forgivable. We do have to discuss something that's slightly less forgivable.
Go on. Oh, yeah.
This is obviously our first episode that the people are seeing in 2 weeks. But we did record a great episode last week.
We get one comment. I'll drop it. I'll release it. I even edited in a video of a fucking squirrel faking his death.
Did you actually edit that in as well?
Well, I've got the screen shot because I haven't done the titles or anything. I haven't done like the actual cut yet, but it's all ready to go with the squirrel.
Fair enough.
I've got the credit ready. I've got the crop shot ready.
Very nice. It was an episode where we also had Miguel, who will be coming back.
Yep.
He's not here today. He's in Pamplona.
Yeah.
He's running away from some bulls. Or watching some other people run away from bulls. Either way,
yeah.
There's alcohol, there's running, and there's bulls. Not usually known as a good combination, but in Pamplona they love it once a year. I think next week he's going to be in Costa Brava.
Next week he's away on business in Italy.
That's the one.
Week after he's back.
And then he will be a permanent fixture. For the meantime, me and Josh, ever so slightly still hanging. From various. You're on a 3-day hangover. I've just been having to socially drink every single day since your birthday party, where I drank and other things might have been ingested. And then I slept for 4 hours and saw my dad and had to hang out with my dad for 10 hours.
Yeah, I spent my hangover in bed. I can't really complain that much.
It was your birthday. You deserved it.
It was also the last night and a string of nights. Just very, very difficult in my advanced age.
But you're doing well. You're here. We're back on track with the podcast. We've got a lot to talk about, even though we're going to be talking more quietly than we usually do. Sean Strickland, Grant Dawson, big performances from them.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the card over the weekend. We have been able to see the fights, even through all the madness. Next week's card, this weekend's card, UFC 290, one of the biggest cards of the year.
Yeah.
Robbie Lawler's retirement fight, 2 titles, a title eliminator between Whittaker and Dricus du Plessis, a fight on the main card in jeopardy, and a few good matchups as well. Find a little bit of news, and hopefully deliver a good show. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. Let's talk Sean Strickland, as I barely get my words out. You would expect a guy who's ranked in the top 10 to dispatch a guy coming in on only his second fight in the UFC. But there was a reason why the UFC put this matchup together, considering Strickland was coming off a win already. It's not like he was on some 3-fight losing skid or something like that, and they were kind of feeding him to potentially the next Wolf, or thought he was over the hill. They clearly thought that Abus was going to be something potentially whirlwind-like. Another Hamzat Chimaev for the middleweight division. Somebody that's knocking everybody out, finishing his opponents in the first round. First round, Strickland deals with a nasty eye poke, spends the rest of the round just being super defensive, letting Abus burn himself out. Second round starts piling it on.
With one eye, basically. Really goes to show you, I don't know how much I agree with doing that much hard sparring, but at the end of the day, as dumb a decision as fighting with one eye is, can't really fault him for doing it in the heat at the moment. And it is tough, but it's very dumb as well. But like his instincts are there. Like he knows how to find the head in the body even if you can't see it because it's pretty much all he trains. I mean,
Well,
this time it really fucking pays off. It really shoots my theory in the head. But great performance from Strickland.
it's so simple as well. I mean, the guy's very good defensively when he's not fighting Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
Offensively, pretty rudimentary.
Yeah, but I mean that was the death of Albus once he kind of committed to like I just need to hit him with one big shot. I'm not gonna last 5 rounds. Everything had a big wind up to it. It was obvious. It was loopy, and Strickland was just down the middle.
It was pretty much he won that fight with a 1-2.
Yeah.
And the big switch up was the 1-1-2. That's how he really started catching him and hurting him in the second round. And obviously, once he realizes he's got him hurt, that's when you suddenly get the wild hooks, the combinations, the staying in the pocket. But for a guy that everybody associates as this kind of wild man, he is kind of consistently showing an ability to professionally fight 5 rounds in an extremely intelligent, disciplined manner when you really break it down. Nothing overly fancy, basics, well applied with good cardio. We saw him do this to Imavov. I thought he beat Cannonier, and we've just seen what a great performance Cannonier put in a few weeks ago. And obviously this is a real statement. It's okay against a guy with 1 fight in the UFC, but the matchmakers aren't stupid. They know what they're doing, and they put this guy in there because they thought he's got a competitive chance of beating Strickland.
Yeah. Also, when you have a roster this size and you're constantly churning this much new talent, I've complained about it before. You don't get enough comparative fights. Some of the guys in the ranking, the depth in the top 15 does start to feel paper thin in a lot of divisions. There's only a handful of divisions that really kind of like maintain that standard now. Like heavyweight, not really. Light heavyweight, not really. Middleweight, definitely not. Like, well, actually, heavyweight, definitely not. I mean, I'll put heavyweight and middleweight in the same kind of bracket there. But my point is, like, we're going to see these from time to time when ranked fighters will take them. Fair play to Strickland for taking this fight. It doesn't. It gets him like incrementally closer to a title shot, but the next fight probably would have been available if he'd held out anyway. This way, he gets to get some more experience because you know this is exactly how he wants to fucking spend his weekend. This is how he wants to train. This is how he wants to develop. Hard sparring, stay busy, lots of fights.
I think he's potentially got himself a title shot. And I'll tell you, as long as he's not injured, and I'll tell you why. Let's assume that Whittaker beats Dricus.
Yeah.
Which we're going to talk about later in the podcast. But let's just assume he does that. I don't think he's going to do that unscathed. And I don't feel that he's going to come out of it as unharmed as... Listen, Strickland took a nasty eye poke, but you know what I mean. He didn't really get any serious damage in terms of blows to the head, body impacts, all this kind of stuff. If Strickland can be ready to fight at UFC 293 when they go to Australia, is he's keen to fight on that card. Whittaker might need time to recover anyway.
Do you think Whittaker... I mean... How seriously is Dana White taking this as a title eliminator for both parties, do you really believe?
I think it's 100%.
Yeah?
I think it's 100%. I think the only spanner in the works would be if Khamzat Chimaev was officially moving up to middleweight and was booked against anyone in the top 5, vis-a-vis a Alex Pereira situation, where there's a storyline and there's a guy they like. But all the rumours is that Khamzat Chimaev is going to catch weight fight Usman in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
That's the fight that both guys want. That's the fight that seems to be going on. And they're doing it at catch weight so that it's not too much pressure on Chimaev, but he's kind of got that in-between option. You know what I mean? Like, if he wins it, they can look at him as a title shot, give him a title shot at welterweight and just say, make the fucking weight for the love of God. Even if he loses that fight, they can just say, well, he needs to move up anyway.
Yeah. Although, like, if it is a title eliminator, then 293, like, Izzy would have to let that go, realistically.
Unless
So
you can
if you throw in a
squeeze.
Strickland though, it's
Unless
like.
you can squeeze a Strickland in there.
So I know it's really just more a matter of principle. I don't really pick Strickland to win this fight, but you don't know. And what if you get like a weird one, like a draw or something, or a no contest? It's just
Yeah, but Izzy fights more often than Bobby Knuckles.
yeah.
Bobby Knuckles fights maybe once every 8 months.
And Bobby's been fucked before on these things, and he's got 2 losses to Izzy. And I think if they can do anything to avoid giving him a trilogy fight, they will.
Or when they give him the trilogy fight, maybe they want Izzy to already have a slightly more guaranteed title defense in his second reign. And Strickland would be good for the business, man. You can still build on the principle that your big superstar Izzy is probably going to win that fight, but you know you're going to have a guy that's going to get big numbers on all of the interactions, press conferences, people who don't follow the sport but just want to watch it when there's kind of a storyline, they'll get involved. He'd be a great foil for Izzy. We saw that at the press conference when Izzy was fighting Cannonier and he was fighting Alex Pereira. And there's the actual fight. I don't think would be competitive, but I feel like I would have a lot of fun watching the build up to that fight. I actually feel like that needs to happen because you couldn't have 2 guys that are just more antithetical of each other.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's more like the second fight, it could be a relatively competitive fight. Oh wait, we're talking Strickland or
I'm talking Strickland. If Izzy fights Pereira, I want that motherfucking shit at light heavyweight. With Izzy going up as a champion and Alex Pereira having captured the belt at light heavyweight. That would be the ultimate fucking MMA trilogy.
Yeah, I just think the fights in at 185. I just think the top 5 needs to shake out a little more for me to get like kind of excited about one. I so hard to be optimistic on the 3rd day of a 3-day hangover. I mean, even calling it a 3-day hangover, I don't know how I'm going to feel tomorrow.
Well, either way, I think what we can agree is this: Sean Strickland's only done himself positives.
Yeah,
in his win. Abus,
and as long as that eye's all right, didn't take too much damage.
I think he could be ready for 293. I think Izzy would be keen for it. But then again, it's that 293 card's going to be weird because you look at the guys that they'd want to have on. Whittaker, 3 months later you can't confirm, particularly after a tough fight. Volk, we're going to talk about how hard his fight's going to be coming up. You can't guarantee he'd be ready to come back in 3 months' time.
And that's assuming he wins.
That's assuming he wins. Izzy, there's no guarantees yet. There's no obvious opponent unless someone of Strickland, Drickus, Whittaker, whatever, is ready to fight in 3 months' time. Could be awkward. Let's talk about the rest of the card that's already happened before we move down to UFC 290. Grant Dawson fighting a guy that we were singing the praises of not that long ago, Damir Ismagulov. Ismagulov, as you said, he lost to Sarukian, retired, didn't look the same in that fight. 1 fight left on his deal, comes in to fight Grant Dawson, gets completely manhandled in a way that even Sarukian wasn't able to do. And in the greatest of respects to Grant Dawson, great fighter. I just don't think he's made that level of progression where I'm like watching a Sarukian wrestle and chain it all together.
Yeah, no, I mean, Dawson did a great job. Every round was basically rinse and repeat, but just like switching those body triangles, attacking the choke, making Ismagulov defend. Textbook stuff. Ismagulov has not looked the same since the sort of like, who was the last fight before Sarukian? Was it Kutateladze? Maybe there's one in between. Either way, once you like that loss to Sarukian. Sarukian's a great fighter. Ismagulov did look a little off the boil. He got ragdolled too much. Retires, comes back, fights out the last fight. Doesn't look like Ismagulov. He's not working behind a nice jab. He's kind of winging in shots, hoping he catches him with something. Completely unable to kind of like foil the takedown or switch position or anything. And for a guy that is quite a strong grappler, did look a little bit out of his weight class, to be honest. Just, who knows, maybe just fighting out that contract after the sunset, one last, I wouldn't say easy payday, but at least, like, you know what you're kind of doing. It feels like a day at the office kind of payday for him, I suppose. I wonder what he's going to do next, to be honest.
Maybe retires. Okay, big wins for Michael Morales. Max Griffin's never an easy out.
Nope.
Morales did well. Lipski. I love Ariane Lipski. I always wanted to do well, but I have to accept that she's not really quite able to get... She hasn't got the skills to get past a certain level of opponent.
Yep.
I didn't think she was going to beat Melissa Gatto.
I
didn't think she beat Melissa Gatto, but she gets the nod.
Not the worst decision I've seen this year, though. Is what it is.
No, but great finishes for Benoit Saint-Denis and
That was a great fight.
Rusev. Fucking perfect catch to the kick.
Yeah,
Puts him down on the ground.
Conservational fisherman, just catch, release. Beautiful. Brutal, to be honest.
Bonfim, his brother's fighting in a couple of weeks, or next week, or very close proximity. Bonfim brothers are good.
Yeah.
That's a top win. That's a really top win for Saint-Denis, who's, I think, won every fight since his debut, where he got absolutely fucking pummeled, I think, by Zaleski dos Santos.
I don't know, did he take a debut at 170? Or?
I will confirm this. Who was the opponent? He had... This is one of the ones where it was, like, terrible refereeing.
I was getting excited for BSD, because he was supposed to be fighting... This fight got pushed. I wonder if they can turn around in time for Paris.
Zaleski dos Santos.
No, 170, yeah.
At UFC 267. Welterweight bout. He took it short notice for his debut and basically got absolutely... Like, it was one of those fights that everyone was like, how is the referee not stopping this? In fact, if I recall, I think they took that referee...
Yeah.
Sorry, that referee off any other fight duties for the rest of the card.
Yeah, I remember the fight. I'd forgotten it was Saint-Denis. But to be fair, fighting short notice against the really tough guy, 15 pounds over your usual weight class. A lightweight.
But he's pulled it back.
He's a fucking beast.
Absolutely pulled it back. Big wins for him. We gotta talk about Kevin Lee. That is a bad return. I mean, that's like... It's like you had a player for your football team, like a star striker, who's absolutely brilliant. He didn't win you any trophies. He didn't quite get you there. And then he wanted to go off and make more money and left you. But then it didn't work out at his other clubs. And he's come back to you. It's his coming home party. And then you put him back in the squad and he misses 2 penalties, scores an own goal and gets himself sent off. This was like the MMA equivalent. I mean, Kevin Lee got destroyed. And I feel a bit bad for him because Fakhretdinov, what was his record, like 19-1 or something like that?
Yeah.
That's a tough fight to get back to, man.
Well,
it's doing you no favours.
So much power in his hands, rocked him, and then finishing the guillotine from there, like, just the strength and the technique is unreal. It's, that was a horrible one for him.
Great reference from Herb.
Yep.
I did not think he was out. It looked like his hand was still round and...
Well, yeah, it didn't look like he was. And I guess, there'll probably be some people going like, maybe it was a little late, but, we all remember Askren Lawler. So, Herb's got to do what Herb's got to do now.
No, I thought that was a good call. And probably, definitely saved Kevin Lee's life. Another 4 or 5 seconds and Kevin Lee wasn't waking up. Brutal. Okay, prelims. Obviously had that. Brito. Don't pull leg locks on that man.
Yep.
Terrible idea. Cara Rosa beats Yana Santos. I think she's a mum now.
I mean, to be honest, she made it hard work for Rosa, and I think this was the only other featherweight fight she's taken since coming in to fight.
Oh, it was this featherweight?
Yeah, this is the first one since Cyborg, right? When she debuted.
Did she fight Santos? Cyborg?
Yeah, I think at 140, but You know what I mean? Effectively, like,
Yeah.
if you're fighting Cyborg at 140, you might as well say
That's
it's fucking
fucked.
145. And yeah, you know, moved up to 145. I didn't think it looked too bad considering there was an obvious size disparity there, but did better than I thought.
Elvis Brenner.
Fight of the night, Jesus Christ!
This
What
was a
great
good fight. This was a really good fight.
I can't believe Brenner got out of the first round. And then, you know, after how well Kutateladze was doing for that entire fight, for Brenner to survive the cut, the way he almost like emptied his tank in the seconds, he still has like the power and the composure and the toughness and the confidence in himself to like fucking catch him with that left hook. That was great fight. What a comeback.
It's always when you get those knockouts as well, where somebody's they're still standing up, but they're just gone, just done. You know, it's been a brutal fucking war. That was definitely best fight on the card. Kutateladze, we need to spare a thought for him. He has had like for a guy who's as talented as he is,
And he is really fucking good. You can see
really
that.
good, and like every single fight he's been given, I would put in the category of like not in the rankings or public knowledge yet, but an absolute fucking psycho killing murderer.
He was like my number 16 for a guy for a while.
Yeah, so first fight is Gamrot. What an absolute fucking monster that guy is. Then they give him Damir Ismagulov. That fight was razor fucking thin.
Yep, and a great fight.
Razor fucking thin. And then Elvis Brenner, who's clearly a tough dude and clearly very good. And it's a fight he was winning. It's just, you look at it, all of a sudden he's lost his last two. And he's all the way down there in the rankings. And it's going to be a tough road back.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do with him. Because you know the way they are now, like they might just cut him. If they don't cut him, are they going to like kind of invest in him as a future prospect and give him a bounce back fight? Or are they just going to feed him to the Sharks again and then cut him?
I don't know if you cut him.
I mean, they cut
I think there's so
people
many
for nothing at the
subpar
moment.
fighters in the UFC that, not even trying to be mean, but probably should just be cut for their own health and safety. I don't think you should be cutting guys as talented as him. I think sometimes it's just unlucky, man.
I mean,
you just get
look
caught
at-
with a good shot.
Look at how good the vet team on the Ultimate Fighter is. Like, they cut people too easily. Way too easily.
It's getting a little embarrassing.
Yeah, like we were saying about Timo Valiev, like, yeah, I can see this guy's ready to come back now. Like, you never should have fucking cut him. He was always that good. Jesus. All of them.
I haven't watched any of The Ultimate Fighter, but I'm very well aware that I think Michael Chandler was 5-0 up.
He is 5-0, yeah.
The new episode, I believe, comes out tonight.
Yeah.
And I've got a feeling he's probably going to go 6-0.
Who's left? Jason Knight and two more, obviously, but there's still some really good vets left. Like the talent on the vet side is ridiculous.
So the question is, once it goes 8-0, if they just go 8-0 first round, do you think McGregor just stops being in the show entirely? Just
Yes.
fucks off. We just don't see him for the rest of it.
Well,
Excuse me.
bless you. Obviously, the filming would have wrapped a while ago. I think we would have heard something, right? There would have been rumours or something. I think what they would probably do is kind of what they do when Pettis and Mendez almost went through the sweep. I think they kind of shuffled the fighters around a little bit, so they're like fighters were still kind of like not having a training with the people that were going to be fighting in the semis. If they do that, how gracious is McGregor going to be about it? Well, I guess only if they give him Brad Katona, right? Then like John Kavanagh's going to want to stick around. Fuck, man, I don't know. Having Conor McGregor on anything is a train wreck.
Imagine if the show actually becomes really good because Conor McGregor just leaves. And instead of any like us versus the team bullshit, it just becomes all about like Michael Chandler like trying to inspire and train these guys. Like all the teams come together, the prospects just start hanging out with the vets and no animosity.
Well, that's the thing. So I'm up to date. So obviously Brad Katona is an SBG fighter.
Yeah.
He's on the vet team. And he himself has admitted, I'm driving Chandler crazy, acting like a bit of a diva, but I got to do what's best for me. And he is genuinely driving Chandler crazy. So
Okay, that's how. Maybe I'll watch it.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see what kind of happens with that. I mean, only in so much because of the way everyone's handling it. Like, it's on that side of things, like it's no one's first rodeo. Everyone's been fucked over by the sport so many times. A lot of these guys have been fucked over by the UFC specifically. Brad Katona's already won the Ultimate Fighter. Oh man, what did he propose? The Multimate Fighter or something like that. He was like, if I win both, I guess you guys are going to have to name it, but maybe the Multimate Fighter or something else. I'm like, that's pretty good.
Why the Multimate Fighter?
Because he's the multi-ultimate fighter.
Ah, that's actually quite good.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks like an idiot.
I wish I got that straight away.
Name and fortune, we should get him in.
I didn't come up with name and fortune either, that was you.
We didn't come up with any good names. You had one for Maki Patolo, Maki Shark, instead of coconut bombs. That was a good one. Anyway, we digress.
Let's talk UFC 290.
Yeah.
Big card. First of 2 pay-per-views this year. There's 2 title fights on this one and 0 title fights on the next one. So it's still an average of 1 title fight per pay-per-view in July. But you do have the BMF at 291, which we'll all pretend is a belt for about a week.
It's still a good fight though.
Still a great fight. Actually a more fun card, I think, than this one. But this is the prestige card.
Well, also, I was complaining about it before we started recording. That there's just a few too many fighters, and there might be one more on the list if he doesn't fall off entirely. That although I'm excited to see them fight, I'm not super excited to see him fight short notice replacements, and it's taking some of the shine off for me.
Well, we were meant to have, so it is a good card. It's, when I say a prestige card, I mean the Yair Volk fight has huge legacy consequences and consequences for the title picture moving forward for that and a second division. Pantoja versus Moreno. That is the culmination of the end of the whole Figgy Moreno saga and the reign of Moreno, and the culmination of this kind of rivalry he's had with Pantoja that he's already fought 3 times, twice officially, or 2 times and once officially.
Again, 3-day hangover, I believe. Ultimate Fighter lost, submitted, and then once in the UFC.
Okay. So we've got a culmination of his own opportunity to get a title defence in his second reign as the champion, past the Figgy saga, and avenge a loss from a former rival. You've got a title eliminator shaping up what will happen next in the middleweight division, potentially. Obviously, we've just been talking about how Strickland fits into this, but Drickasu or Robert Whittaker come out and finish the other guy in 30 seconds. That suddenly is an option for them on 293, potentially.
Yeah.
And Robbie Lawler's retirement fight against somebody that isn't going to be a dick and probably will get into a bit of a wild war.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to wrestle fuck him, is he?
No, let's just hope Robbie can pull the trigger.
Alonzo Menifield versus Jimmy Crute 2. Rematch of that fight. So, there are some fun fights and some good prospects.
Della Maddalena.
Jasmine Yeragui.
Tatsuro Taira.
Hopefully,
yeah.
Bo Nickel. His opponent, Tressian Gores, are out for that fight. They might find him a replacement. The fight might be dropped. But let's talk about the big fights. Let's go top down. Volk versus Yair. It's easy to say that Yair is lost to Max, has lost to a couple of other guys, just isn't going to be able to beat somebody like Volk, who's just had a razor close match in the division above him against Islam. I would argue this is his toughest style matchup.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the closest sort of opponent on Yair's record that you'd find to Volk might be like a Frankie Edgar, but I can't really do that comparison because Yair is so much different to when he was how he was when he lost to Frankie,
And I wouldn't describe Volk as a chain wrestler. He will mix the wrestling in very effectively, but
and with the hands, the volume, and just that kind of light movement as well with it. That's kind of I feel like that's probably the closest match. I mean, did Yair ever fight Chad Mendes? I don't think he did.
No,
I think that'd be like the most kind of like comparable style in terms of like how Yair had to deal with it, but that one it doesn't even really count for me.
The problem Volk's going to have is Yair is fast. Like, Volk is usually faster than everybody. Yair might be just as quick, if not a little bit quicker. Certainly, I would say he's a quicker kicker than Volkanovski is. He's tall, he's rangy. The way he kicks makes his attack striking range way longer than guys usually are. And you've got to deal with the fact that he's going to mix in completely unexpected shit with, as he showed in the Josh Emmett fight, pretty solid fundamental striking principles with the hands. I mean, there was some beautiful left hooks, the short elbow on the inside, the way he was pulling back out the way of the hooks and then countering in. I mean, this isn't a guy who's just a show pony vis-a-vis a Michel Pereira in that kind of sense. Volk could get himself in trouble in this fight. But I do feel if he, barring like a miracle elbow like the zombie fight, I do kind of think if it gets past those first couple of rounds, like if Volk can not get hit with anything stupid in the first 2 rounds, I think he'll find the timing and he'll figure out the range.
Well, that's the thing. He gets quicker as he goes because he reads people very well. But with Max, it really did feel like it took him, 6 or 7 rounds to really start to make that a difference. And it wasn't until it was the 11th round he'd been fighting him that it was clear separation. Having a guy that can fight from a longer distance, I think probably does make it a lot more difficult for everyone. But still, I will expect him to get better as the rounds go on because he is just such a smart fighter. And he's just so fucking dangerous. Yeah,
he has to win it first half of the fight, basically.
I don't think so, because he still has got those weapons,
It's just the fact that he can throw something that he's literally at no... You could see him throwing a kick that he at no point has ever thrown before. You know what I mean? Just having his... Like he's trained it just for one moment and he's going to pull it out the locker. It's so hard. Like, he'd never thrown that elbow before he fought the Korean zombie. He'd probably trained it. Yeah, he'd never thrown it in a fight. And it's just like when you've got a guy like that.
He showed it to Gastelum when they were roommates. I was reading this the other day. Really? Yeah. Gastelum's picking him against Volkanovski because he was like, I just like, man, he's just built different. It's just weird power with that elbow and he's just such a weird 45er.
It's hard to deal with somebody that can do something completely unexpected out of nowhere. And you can't prepare for it. You can't know the setup for it.
Oh, well, I remember the setup for that one. It was, I've just lost the fight. It's the last 10 seconds. Come hither. Why do you walk forward? Korean zombie. Oh.
The fact he dodged a hook as he did it as well. It was just the perfect. Either way, I feel Volk's going to want to wrestle him. I don't think that's going to be the entire game plan. But there's no way he's going to just want to stand. Like, Max didn't want to stand with Yair.
Well, yeah, he's infinitely more dangerous standing up. It would be insane. This is... I think Volkanovski can get takedowns on this one. I imagine he's probably going to look to just cause as much damage and hold him down. Usually he'll use takedowns and a bit of top control to wear out opponents. But, he'll still maintain quite a fluid, dynamic game plan. Like, he's happy to be opportunistic. He's happy to take risks. He's it's no bother if you scramble away and you get up on your feet. He feels like it's taking more out of your gas tank than it is his, and he's usually right. With Yair, I don't know, maybe he just tries to smother him a little bit. I don't know, it'd be interesting to see. I don't think he's necessarily going to go that way, but if he has the opportunity, I don't think it's a bad idea.
Also, Yair's style, I know he's always shown himself to have very good cardio, but I do feel like his style is really hard to maintain against somebody like Volkanovski that just does not get tired. I mean, he outworked Islam. and that guy's a beast. Okay, let's talk. Do we want to do predictions? Or do we just kind of want to say how we think the fight's going to go generally without doing anything specific or putting our name to anything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind putting myself out there and saying I think Volk's going to win this one, but I don't really need to make formal predictions. I did mean to bring this up with you, actually. I think I tried to, and then we got distracted and started talking about something else. But because we never really tracked the last or the second season,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I did fall behind at some point, so I'm quite happy to just do a forfeit.
Okay. I'll have a think about it.
I still have the power of veto, but then at the same
Oh,
time...
I wouldn't do anything ridiculous, man. I didn't think your punishment to me was not overly bad.
Well, it almost was, because my ex suggested you eat some cold baked beans.
Oh, I would have hated that.
Yeah.
I would have fucking hated that.
And it occurred to me that if I ate cold baked beans, well, I don't mind that. It'd probably be harder for you to watch than it would be for me to eat them. So, something in the middle, I suppose.
I'll figure something out.
But maybe for the pay-per-views when Miguel's back, we can maybe do like top 2, top 3 of the main card or something.
Yeah, that works. Or like a Super 6 betting line or something like that. I think that's a good idea. Alright, I kind of feel like Volk gets it done. He's on this legacy quest. I want him to get it done, not because I don't like Yair, but I want to see him fight Islam again.
Yeah.
Go for it.
To be honest, at this point, you'd have to be such a unique, dangerous, generational talent for me to pick against Volkanovski.
Also, we've got a lot of new champs at the moment. And a lot of new champs. It was him and Nunes that were the real kind of like long-term belt holders. Nunes is now obviously off.
Yep.
Izzy's reclaimed his belt, but you could argue it's a second reign. And meanwhile, you've got Volkanovski who's been the champ for 3.5 years. Only longest reigning champ, and it's 3.5 years. It's a whole new turnover. I don't necessarily need more turnover. Max Holloway's got to be putting all of his money on fucking Yair though. It's like, come on mate, do me a favour and make it brutal, make it early and brutal, so that I can just be like, you want a quick title defence? I'm ready, man. We fought before.
Probably. Although we both know Max just doesn't work that way. He's just too fucking great of a person.
It's not his style. Not his style. Let's talk about the co-main event. Let's talk Moreno. His quadrilogy, although the last fight was probably the least interesting and least exciting of them against Figueiredo, it's the most fun flyweight ever been.
Yeah.
We're now in a new era where there's a lot of exciting flyweights. There's actually quite a few guys that you look at and think, we've got matchups, we've got storylines, we've got fights where it's hard to predict what's going to happen. I think Pantoja's going to be a problem for Moreno. He's already beaten him twice. I think that style is hard because Moreno's very much a preliminary a boxing guy. And if he's fighting a better grappler and he can't kind of mix that grappling in, that boxing stance, heavy on the front leg, I just see him getting taken down a lot.
I don't know, because, you know, in the Ultimate Fighter, you know, he won the first round against Pantoja and then makes a mistake, gets subbed in the second. And then, you know, so it's a very different environment in the Ultimate Fighter as well. He was the youngest guy on the show that season, I believe. He was green behind the ears. Pantoja's only a few years older, but in their fight in the UFC, the Moreno that was fighting, although the sort of bare bones of the skill set and the style was there, it was a lot more flawed. It was a lot more foolish. He'd overextend too much. He'd throw a lot of loopy shots that wouldn't land, whereas now he has much tighter hooks and he's a lot more kind of sensible about when he lands shots. I mean, those 4 fights with Figgy and the fight at Kai Kara France, completely different guy to the one that faced Pantoja. Obviously, Pantoja hasn't been like resting on his laurels either.
He's looked electric recently.
Both of them have only really lost to the very fucking best in flyweight and bantamweight. And frankly, you know, Pantoja, both guys should more or less be at their prime now. I imagine Pantoja's kind of there or maybe leaving, and Moreno's kind of getting into it. It's hard for me to predict because Moreno is so different to the guy that made those mistakes against Pantoja before. once he let that first round get away from him in the UFC, it just kind of was what it was. Pantoja just kind of built from there. I just don't see Moreno wilting in this fight, and I don't see Pantoja getting easy opportunities to take like an early lead on the scorecard either. It'll be fucking fun though. I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm not making a pick on this one.
I can't. Yeah, I'm leaning Pantoja, but I wouldn't put any money down on it.
It's hard to bet against the guy that's fucking beat him twice. Technically, you know, it's just hard.
But also, Mourinho, the champ, and can put that extra 30% of quality on as well.
If they have him as a dog on the day, I might get a cheeky Aki going. I don't know.
Fair enough. Okay, let's talk about the feature fight. One of our favourites, Robert Whittaker. He's obviously going for that third shot against Izzy. We've already talked about this a little bit. Let's talk about the fight itself. I kind of feel like Dricus is a bit too wild.
Awkward as well. And Awkward's great for creating openings. And against a lot of guys, you know, he'd have success. He was like a more athletic version of Elias Theodorou, who was just awkward. But the thing is, like, when you have that awkward style, you create openings that a sharp guy that stays calm is going to find, and that's Whittaker down to a T. It's not that he can't hurt Whittaker or cause some damage, it's just that unless Whittaker barrels in like he did in the first Izzy fight, I just don't really think he's gonna find those shots easy, and I think he's gonna give too much away too early. I don't think Whittaker's gonna take risks and try and like blast him early on. It's just gonna be, you know, slow accumulation of damage. But
this is a good fight. This is a good style matchup, I feel, for Whittaker. He's so good at keeping himself bouncing just in and out of distance. And you see the fights against Cannonier, against Vittori, against all of these guys, particularly recently after he sort of had the first Izzy loss. And his understanding of how to keep distance, maintain it, pick his shots at the right moment, build, use one shot to set up the next shot, and then start putting combinations together when you've got the guy figured out. I just feel like Dricus is going to crash forward. He's going to try and get into a car wreck, try and make contact, and he's just going to be easily displaced. I don't think he's going to find it easy to take Robert down. I don't think he's going to catch him with anything stupid. And, you know, the thing about Whittaker, even in a 3-round fight, he's got enough confidence in himself that he'll pace himself and take it easy for the first round. Maybe lose the first round. But he'll allow himself to see everything he needs to see. And once he's got you figured out, he's such a hard guy to beat. Such a hard guy to beat. Mentality, never really seems to get panicked, gets very stressed, but is always switched on, really focused.
I mean, it took 10 rounds of Yoel Romero to burn him out. That's fair enough.
Durable, tough. And that's the factor as well, is that he's not fighting too often to the point that you're worried about like injuries in the same way or the damage. And really, I mean, since his first loss to Adesanya, he hasn't taken any major damage in any of his fights. In the second Izzy fight, he lost it, but it was really close. He didn't get beaten up badly in that fight. He came out of the Vittori fight without any major damage. Knocked down in the Till fight, but apart from that was, you know, that was more of a technical fight. He didn't really...
Yeah.
The guy's not really... He's not chipping away at the chin.
No, I mean, what he does, he hides that leg kick well in the combos. And he used to love throwing that wild left hook and finding a home for it. He's a lot sort of smarter about how he uses it now, but it's still fucking there. And you can kind of just cut off an angle and just pop it in there as well. I mean, that's kind of my big worry for Dricus du Plessis, is that if he's not careful about the way he's backing up, he's going to have to block a few head kicks, and that's going to be painful. And then coming on the other side, like if he hasn't got like a tight guard there and he's barreling in, he's going to eat some check hooks. And, you know, Bobby Knuckles puts some power on that hook, so... Again, not like I don't envision him like knocking him out necessarily, but yeah, he's gonna make it hard for him. He's gonna give him some cognitive wobbles.
Imagine if it turns out that all he needed to do was get his nose fixed, and he's just gonna be like a cardio monster just sprint full 15 minutes. Do you think it's a bit of a shame?
Maybe he's the next African champion.
Do you think it's a bit of a shame that there could have been a good storyline had he fought Izzy, and they've given him the hardest contender as an eliminator?
Well,
Like,
I think this was the only way to kind of shoot him up quickly enough to get someone to fight Izzy. Because if not him, it had to be someone, right?
mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, I don't know why we haven't talked about him yet, but do you not think that if Whittaker wins this one, and it's a 5-round decision, which is what I kind of anticipate, and it's not
It's
that it's
like
not
3
close.
rounds.
Oh, of course, sorry, a 3-round decision, which I kind of anticipate, and it's not, you know, it's Bobby winning comfortably, but not spectacularly. Like, what about Brendan Allen?
That's a mean fight to give somebody after a win. Like, you're the number 2 guy you want to fight, and they say, here, fight number 11.
No, I mean even like putting him ahead of DDP for a 293 quick turnaround.
Brendan Allen's not ready, dude.
I don't think DDP's ready.
No, but he's...
Truth be told, I don't know if Bobby would be ready for that third shot.
Brendan Allen hasn't got the names.
That's-
DDP...
It's kind of how I feel about DDP, though, to be honest.
The names are tainted for DDP. But Derek Brunson is a legitimate name to have on your win record. Darren Till is a legitimate name to have on your win record. Like, you're talking about guys that have been entitled eliminators, have been ranked in the top 5, in the top 3 of the division. Guys that have fought for the belt unsuccessfully, but it's a different level, man. You know, the biggest win Brendan Allen has is Bruno Silva on the weekend.
I don't know, who else has he got on his record? So,
He's had some good wins, but in terms of name value, 100%.
I got this. It's just this is the way I feel about DDP. So it's like if Izzy's going to defend at 293, I think weirder things have happened this year. So Andre Muniz, Jotko, Malkoon, good fighters, but not big names.
Yeah.
Sam Alvey, obviously a huge fucking name. And then, yeah, Dorcas, Brees, Holland. I kind of put it on par with DDP's, but I see what you're saying. It probably doesn't seem as glamorous to the casuals.
Timing's everything as well. Like, DDP fought a lot of his names at a very good time to fight them.
Yeah.
He didn't fight the same Derek Brunson that Whittaker fought. He didn't fight the same Darren Till that Whittaker fought.
No, but I mean, neither of them got peak Till.
What was peak Till, though?
Everything before Usman.
Before Usman?
Yeah. Before Woodley, sorry.
There we go.
3-day hangover.
There we go.
3-day hangover.
Okay. Let's
Not
look at the...
racist, just forgetful.
We're going to go through the rest of the card a bit more quickly. Turner versus Hooker. Jalen Turner versus Dan Hooker.
I mean, I wish I could be more excited for this fight, but I'm just worried that I like both fighters, and I'm worried that one of them's going to get absolutely decimated.
Kind of my sentiments as well. Lawler's last fight against Nico Price.
I just want Lawler to have a good fight. As long as he pulls the trigger a little bit, he has some fun out there, I'm happy for him.
Alonzo Menifield versus Jimmy Crute 2.
I mean, I'm kind of excited for it. I don't think a lot of people are excited for it. I'm a little bit excited for it. It might be fun.
Your overall feelings about the card?
Good. I just wish that Della Maddalena, Tatsuro Taira, and Bo Nickel were all fighting high level opposition. Let's see who they book for Bo or if he drops off. And I don't know, but then again, you get surprises. So I am cautious with my excitement levels now. Come Saturday night, it might be completely fucking different.
And how do you feel about Alexa Grasso versus Shevchenko 2 being a fight night card, but at the T-Mobile? With Gastelum being fed to Shavkat.
Oh, on a fucking fight night card?
Yeah. That's the co-main event.
I mean, it's going to be a pretty good fight night. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I can't question their decisions anymore. It's not even financially driven at this point. I think they just pick them out of fucking hat.
Not really backing the now pound for pound number one female fighter in the world, star power, are they? Did you see this?
No.
So when Alexa Grasso beat Shevchenko for the belt, Shevchenko was the number 2 pound for pound women's fighter. She took that number 2 spot.
And then
number 1 was Nunes, retired. So Alexa Grasso was having a great year, man. She's got the belt, the number 1 pound for pound women's status. She's not even going to have an opportunity for pay-per-view points in her first title defence.
Yeah, although the pound for pound rankings doesn't really matter too much. We've broken it down before.
You can still, if you ever work in TV, when people introduce you, it's something that you have on the goddamn resume.
Yeah.
Which is the same argument that Dustin Poirier is now trying to say for the BMF belt. So I know it's not the belt, but it's still something. They still introduce you as it.
You can just do what Chael Sonnen does and just invent your plaudits. Undefeated, never tapped. Just, yeah, no one cares. You can go on TV and say this shit.
I saw the funniest story about how he met his wife. It's their 10-year anniversary, and he tweeted about it.
And then, as much as I love Chael, I doubt the source.
The source is Chael.
Yep, doubt it.
He said she knew he was the one. He knew she was the one because he'd lent her $500 on like an early date or something like that, but then needed some money to pay for something he didn't realise. So went to her like an hour later to get something and said, I need $50 from the money I gave you. She said, well, you didn't give me any money. He's like, yeah, I gave you $500. And she's like, you gave me $400. He's like, yeah, that's the one. That's the one. She's like, still to this day, she denies that I ever gave her the extra $100. Which sounds like a cool story, but Chael Sonnen also has CTE. So maybe he just gave her $400 and miscounted.
It's possible.
Right, I think that is our show. Anything else you want to say, Josh?
Apologies for last week. It was all self-inflicted.
We will release this episode this week and an episode next week, and then the episode after that will be 3 people again, and in that time we're going to try and get the lighting a little bit better because we've got this shot really nicely set up for 2 people.
We need a better one for 3. Yeah.
We need a better one for 3, but it's all in the process, guys.
Yeah, and if I get just one comment, I'll drop the lost step.
Boom. Guys, thanks for watching if you made it this far. If you didn't, go fuck yourself. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. Bye Dave. Bye Laurie. Bye Truth.
Bye Laurie. Bye Dave.